Did you know Lincoln, the luxury car giant, started by building aircraft engines for World War I? Named after Abraham Lincoln, this iconic brand rose from the skies to the streets. And wait until you hear about the legendary Lincolns that changed automotive history forever. Number 8, 1936. Lincoln Zephyr. Imagine cruising in the 1936 Lincoln Zephyr, a car that set new standards for luxury and design. Powered by a 267 cubic inch V12 engine, it delivered 110 horsepower at 3,900 RPM and a torque of 186 pound-feet at 2,000 RPM. This elegant beauty was fast and stylish. With a top speed of 90 miles per hour, the Lincoln Zephyr wasn't just any car. It was the bold new future of automotive engineering. Surprisingly, originally intended as a lower-priced version of Lincoln, the Zephyr quickly became a hit, changing the brand's game. By the end of its first year, it accounted for 80% of Lincoln's sales. Think about that. 80% of Lincoln's sales are from one model. This car was designed during the Great Depression when every dollar mattered, so it offered the perfect balance of luxury and practicality. No doubt the Zephyr was revolutionary. It had a modern, aerodynamic look with a streamlined body and integrated fenders. Its design was inspired by the famous Burlington Zephyr train. It was the first car from Ford to use unibody construction. No separate frame, just one solid structure. This design reduced weight and added rigidity, giving the vehicle better handling and comfort. It even had a sleek, raked windshield and rear hinge doors that significantly departed from the norm. But this wasn't just a pretty face. It was built for comfort and performance. Under the hood, the V12 engine was smooth and compact, tucked neatly beneath a low, elegant hood. Inside, the cabin was made for comfort, and while it was more straightforward than the luxurious Lincoln Model K, it offered a perfect balance of refinement. And don't forget about the ride. It had hydraulic brakes, which replaced the earlier cable-activated system, and a 3-speed transmission with a 2-speed rear axle that made for a smooth drive. In terms of style, the Zephyr was ahead of its time. Its smooth lines, minimal chrome, and lack of tail fins made it stand out in an era where flashy designs were the norm. The Zephyr also introduced new body styles, including a 4-door sedan, 2-door coupe sedan, and even a town limousine for extra luxury. By 1938, it had received a subtle restyling, improving engine cooling and giving the car a more refined look. So, why is the Lincoln Zephyr a legend? It was practical, innovative, and stylish. A car that changed Americans' thoughts about luxury. It wasn't just a vehicle, but a symbol of progress and hope during tough times. What makes a car legendary? For the Zephyr, it was all of this and more. What would you have done if you could drive one back in the day? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Number 7, 1956 Continental Mark II. Next up, an amazing legendary Lincoln car. In 1950s, Ford is trying to create the most luxurious American car ever. The result? The 1956 Continental Mark II, a true masterpiece that still turns heads today. This iconic car was powered by a 300 horsepower, 368 cubic inch V8 engine, a compression ratio of 10:1, and a Carter 4-barrel carburetor. It rode on 8-inch by 15-inch tires and had a wheelbase of 126 inches. With an overall length of 218.5 inches, this beauty was as long as it was stunning. But there's more to it than just the specs. This car was about redefining elegance. It shocked the world when the Mark II debuted at the 1955 Paris Motor Show. Forget the flashy chrome and tail fins that most American cars rocked then. The Continental Mark II took a different approach, with stylish, clean lines and an understated European-inspired style. The result was an elegant, sophisticated, and timeless vehicle. It had a flat hood and trunk lid, minimal chrome trim, and the famous Continental spare tire integrated into the trunk. It was a vision of simplicity and luxury. Inside, it was no less impressive. The interior featured imported Scottish leather upholstery, making it feel like you were sitting in a plush, high-end living room. And while other cars of the time boasted countless options, the Mark II kept it simple. It came standard with power steering, power brakes, white wall tires, a heater, a radio, and a power seat. Is the only option available? Air conditioning. Talk about luxury. But even though the Mark II was a showstopper, the marketing got lost in translation. Lincoln dealers were selling the car, but because the vehicle shared many features with the Lincoln models of the time, customers often had difficulty distinguishing between them. As a result, despite its undeniable elegance, only 2,996 Mark IIs were sold, including a few prototypes. So why didn't it take off more? Maybe it was the confusion, or people weren't ready for such a restrained, classy car. But the 1956 Continental Mark II remains one of the most excellent American luxury cars ever made, a vehicle that stood apart from everything else in its time. It wasn't about excess, but the perfection of every little detail. And that in itself is legendary. Wouldn't you agree? Number 6, 1961 Lincoln Continental. Just picture yourself in the driver's seat of a 1961 Lincoln Continental, one of the most iconic luxury cars ever to grace the American roads. Powered by a 430 cubic inch V8 engine that produced 300 horsepower at 4,100 RPM, the Continental made a statement wherever it went. With its elegant lines and understated design, it was as much about luxury as it was about style. The 1961 Lincoln Continental was a car built to impress. In a time when many cars were still dripping with chrome and tail fins, the Continental was different. It stood out with its sleek, long, low, and squared-off design. Gone were the flashy details of the past, replaced by a clean, de-chromed look that turned heads for all the right reasons. It was a car that marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one, with its bold yet elegant simplicity. This car wasn't just about looks. Inside, it was loaded with luxury. The interior was crafted with walnut accents and a padded instrument panel, making it comfortable and stylish. And with power windows, door locks, air conditioning, which more than 70% of owners opted for, and a radio with a rear speaker, the 1961 Lincoln Continental wasn't just a car, it was an experience. This car also had some seriously cool features, like its famous rear suicide doors, which opened from the back for a dramatic, stylish touch. These doors were a true hallmark of the Continental, making getting in and out feel like stepping into a luxury lounge. And when you look at the design, it's clear that the Continental was more than just a mode of transport. It symbolized the changing times, elegant, modern, and sophisticated. What makes the 1961 Lincoln Continental even more special? Well, it was chosen as the presidential limousine for John F. Kennedy. How's that for making history? This car would play a tragic role, but would also cement its place as a symbol of American style and elegance. Under the hood, the 430 cubic inch MEL V8 engine, combined with a 3-speed automatic transmission and 4-wheel hydraulic drum brakes, made the Continental a smooth and powerful ride. It was considerable, still over 14 inches shorter than its predecessor, but its stylish design made it look even more impressive. This was a car that had a presence. Do you ever wonder what it must have been like driving through the streets in a 1961 Lincoln Continental? The smoothness, the power, the style. It's hard not to imagine being the center of attention in this legendary ride. What do you think? Number 5, 1984 Lincoln Mark VII LSC. Let's take a trip back to the mid-1980s when Lincoln decided to shake things up with a bold, stylish move. The 1984 Lincoln Mark VII LSC. Packed with innovation and performance, this wasn't just another luxury car, but a game changer. Under the hood, you'd find a 302 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering 140 horsepower in its base form. Over the years, Lincoln pushed that power to 225 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque, by borrowing the high-output engine from the Mustang GT. Talk about turning heads. Amazingly, this graceful coupe wasn't just about power. It brought sophistication and technology. The Mark VII LSC introduced America to its first four-wheel anti-lock braking system, a groundbreaking feature then. Plus, the car rolled on a complete air suspension system that combined comfort and credible handling, making it a smooth ride with sporty vibes. But what made the Mark VII LSC stand out was its design. Unlike Lincoln's oversized land yachts from the 70s, this car was compact and aerodynamic, boasting a drag coefficient of 0.38, a remarkable 25% improvement over earlier models. Its sleek wedge-shaped profile, sloping back window, and flush-mounted aero headlamps were fine-tuned in a wind tunnel. Even the deck lid featured a subtle bulge, paying homage to classic spare tire housings. Inside, it was all about blending comfort with modern tech. The cabin featured an all-new instrument panel with full electronics and analog gauges. A full-length console with a gearshift lever and a lockable storage bin added convenience. At the same time, the six-way power driver's seat, auto-temp air conditioning, and electronic AM/FM stereo radio with search functionality kept you riding in style. Options like heated seats and a portable CB radio gave buyers a taste of cutting-edge luxury. Lincoln didn't stop there. The Mark VII offered exclusive designer editions, including the elegant Bill Blast Designer Series, which featured a stunning two-tone paint job in goldenrod glamour and harvest wheat. Inside, ultra-soft leather seats in flax and gold added a luxurious touch, while subtle Bill Blast logos reminded you of its exclusivity. So, here's the big question. Could a luxury coupe like the 1984 Lincoln Mark VII LSC really take on sporty German sedans? By the late 80s, the answer was a confident yes. This car proved that Lincoln could blend luxury, style, and performance into one unforgettable package. Number 4, 1990 Lincoln Town Car. Now, let's have a look at true classic that redefined luxury in its time. The 1990 Lincoln Town Car. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement of elegance and comfort that earned Motor Trend's Car of the Year award. Under the hood, the Town Car came with a 281 cubic inches V8 engine, delivering 150 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. Smooth and steady, this car wasn't about speed. It was about making every mile feel like a first-class experience. The Town Car was built on Lincoln's trusted Panther platform, but this wasn't the same old design. The model was 75% new for 1990, featuring a sleeker, more aerodynamic body. The old sharp-edge design gave way to rounded corners, a clean upright grille, and flush-mounted headlights, reducing the drag coefficient from 0.46 to 0.36. It wasn't just modern, it was elegant. Say goodbye to the outdated vinyl roofs and opera lights. Lincoln had officially entered a new era. Moreover, inside, the Town Car was the epitome of comfort. The Signature Series trim came loaded with luxury. Think plush seats, a spacious cabin, and a ride so quiet you'd think you were gliding on clouds. And speaking of clouds, the car introduced load-leveling air springs in the rear, ensuring a smooth drive even with heavy luggage in the trunk. Combine that with speed-sensitive steering and retuned gas shocks, and you had a car that was as effortless to drive as it was to ride in. Beyond this, safety wasn't forgotten either. The Town Car offered optional anti-lock brakes, which were a big deal at the time. Even with drum brakes at the rear, the stopping power was impressive for a car this size. It made those long highway drives feel even more secure. But here's the fun question. Who was the Town Car really for? The beauty of this car was its universal appeal. It kept the old-school luxury buyers happy, while attracting a younger crowd who appreciated its modern touches. It was big, bold, and unapologetically American, with just enough innovation to feel fresh. Number 3, 1998 Lincoln Navigator. Next one on the list is the true masterpiece of Lincoln series. The year was 1998, And Lincoln decided to change the game forever with the Lincoln Navigator, a full-size luxury SUV that set the bar for an entirely new segment. Under the hood, it packed a 330 cubic inches V8 engine, producing 231 horsepower and an impressive 325 pound-feet of torque. This powerhouse of an SUV could reach a top speed of 118.1 miles per hour, all while exuding unmatched sophistication. With a massive 30-gallon fuel tank, it was built for long journeys without frequent stops. Let's take a moment to appreciate the boldness of this move. Lincoln didn't just slap a fancy grille on a truck and call it a day. No, the Navigator was meticulously designed to blend luxury with rugged capability. It borrowed its bones from the Ford F1, 150, and Expedition, but transformed them into uniquely Lincoln. Picture this: a commanding front grille with chrome vertical slats reminiscent of Lincoln's Continental, paired with sleek horizontal headlights that gave it a modern yet refined look. The body-colored bumper with round fog lights and subtle off-road inspired trim underneath showed that this beast was as ready for the trail as it was for the valet line. Step inside, and the Navigator indeed came to life. The interior was dripping with luxury: soft leather bucket seats, rich wood grain accents, and enough tech to make any gadget enthusiast smile. The centerpiece? A premium stereo system with 7 speakers and a 6-disc in-dash CD changer. After all, it was the late 90s, and this was top-tier entertainment. Drivers enjoyed power-adjustable pedals, a first in SUVs, and a tilt steering wheel with integrated controls, making every ride feel effortless. The 3-row seating meant this SUV could comfortably carry up to 8 people, whether configured with a second-row bench or plush captain's chairs. And then, there were the little details that made a big difference. The Navigator featured standard pneumatic rear suspension, which lowered the vehicle for easy entry and exit when parked. Wide, tall doors made climbing in and out a breeze, even for those unfamiliar with SUV heights. The independently opening rear window added convenience, while chrome accents all around elevated its style. So, here's the big question. Was the 1998 Lincoln Navigator the SUV that changed everything? Absolutely. It wasn't just a vehicle. It was a declaration that luxury could go anywhere, do anything, and look fantastic. Number 2, 1993 Lincoln Mark VIII. In 1993, Lincoln unveiled a bold, modern car ready to make waves, the Lincoln Mark VIII. Beneath its elegant hood roared a 281 cubic inches, 32-valve DOHC V8 engine with an impressive 280 horsepower and 285 pound-feet of torque. This luxury coupe wasn't just about power. It could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a respectable 7.1 seconds, despite its 3,750-pound curb weight. But numbers only tell part of the story. The Mark VIII wasn't just fast, it was futuristic. Its rounded aerodynamic design turned heads, leaving behind the boxy styling of its predecessor, the Mark VII. Lincoln ditched the wood-trimmed interiors for a sleek, jet fighter-inspired dashboard that wrapped around the driver like a cockpit. It was all about smooth lines, a driver-focused layout, and modern luxury. But was it perfect? Well, even legends have quirks. Further, the dashboard, while futuristic, had an odd semicircular design. Gauges on the left, like the tachometer, were closer to the driver, while those on the right, like the fuel gauge, were a bit far off. It felt bold, but a touch too stark. Lincoln could have added warm wood or leather accents to match its competitors. Still, the angled radio controls and straightforward climate buttons were handy, even if they lacked a bit of tactile feedback. Let's not forget the car's size. It was big. Compared to rivals like the Cadillac Eldorado and Lexus SC400, the Mark VIII was longer, wider, and roomier. Though still a squeeze to get into, the backseat offered more knee and headroom than most luxury coupes. And the trunk? Perfectly shaped to hold 4 full-sized golf bags. Yes, they thought of everything. And what about the ride? Pure brilliance. The Mark VIII shared its underpinnings with the Thunderbird, but added computer-controlled air suspension at all four corners. This system adjusted ride height for better aerodynamics, dropping the car slightly at higher speeds. The result? Minimal body roll, confident handling, and a buttery smooth ride, even over rough roads. Add speed-sensitive steering that feels light at low speeds and razor-sharp at high speeds, and you've got a car that practically reads your mind. Number 1, 1969 Lincoln Mark III. Number 1 on the list is, without a doubt, the most iconic and deserving classic, the greatest car of all time. In 1969, Lincoln introduced a game-changer that saved the brand and defined a new era of luxury. The Lincoln Mark III. Under its massive hood rumbled a 458 cubic inches V8 engine, delivering a jaw-dropping 500 pound-feet of torque, enough to rocket this 2.5-ton beauty to 60 miles per hour in just 8.6 seconds. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement. With a bold chrome grille that whispered Rolls-Royce and a luxurious cabin dripping in wood and leather, the Mark III wasn't innovative but undeniably impressive. Here's the story. Lincoln Mercury was in deep trouble in the late 60s, bleeding cash and trailing behind Cadillac. Enter Lee Iacocca, the genius behind the Mustang, who had a simple yet brilliant idea. He told his team to slap a Rolls-Royce-inspired grille on the Ford Thunderbird's chassis and create a personal luxury car. And just like that, the Mark III was born. From the outside, the Mark III exuded class. Its hidden headlamps added a mysterious touch, and the long, sweeping body lines made it look regal yet aggressive. The optional vinyl roof and a cavalry twill pattern became a signature feature, though cars without the vinyl were rare due to the extra effort required to hide the roof seams. The chrome grille was unmistakable, giving the vehicle a front-end presence that turned heads everywhere. Step inside, and the Mark III greeted you with pure luxury. Early models featured genuine walnut accents, while later versions offered East Indian rosewood trims. A Cartier-branded clock sat proudly on the dash, emphasizing the car's attention to detail. Power features were everywhere. Windows, seats, and even the concealed headlamps operated with vacuum precision. Split bench front seats came standard with two-way power adjustments, but buyers could upgrade to six-way adjustments, and even add a reclining option for the passenger. Options didn't stop there. The Mark III could have leather upholstery, air conditioning, power locks, cruise control, and tinted glass. Radios and 8-track tape players ensured top-tier entertainment for long drives. Safety was also a priority, with a limited-slip differential available, along with anti-lock brakes, branded as Sure Track. An optional sunroof, first seen on the Mercury Cougar, added an open-air vibe for the ultimate touch. But this car wasn't just about looks and comfort. Sharing its chassis with the Thunderbird gave the Mark III a solid foundation. Its smooth and composed ride made every journey feel like a first-class experience. And let's not forget, thanks to that beastly V8 engine, this car wasn't afraid to flex its muscles when needed. The Lincoln Mark III wasn't groundbreaking in technology, but it changed Lincoln's fortunes forever. It cemented itself as a legend by outselling the Cadillac Eldorado in its first year. It wasn't just a car, it was Lincoln's savior, proving that sometimes bold styling and brute power are all you need to make history. Which legendary Lincoln would you love to take for a spin? One with unstoppable power under the hood or ultimate luxury in every detail? Or maybe both? Let us know in the comments below.